Welcome into the Action Network podcast. Today we've got NFL Best Bets Week 8 from the one and only Brandon Anderson. He's one of our fantastic NFL contributors. We give you best bets every Friday morning during the NFL season from Brandon. My name is Brendan Glasheen in the host chair. For those of you joining us for the first time this season, we are making our way through. We're already almost at the halfway point, Brandon. So here we go. Be sure to follow Brandon Anderson in the Action Network app. Futures, award bets, etc. We did a big awards midway point roundtable pod the other day, but also Brandon's got a big write-up over at Action Network, actionnetwork.com. So check that out if you please. You've got 4 best bets this week. We'll do it. I like this. Ugly running back lightning round coming up. So if you do like running backs or you can't stand them, you probably should stick around for that. And then we'll do a look ahead to week 9 before we get out of here. So without further ado, first best bet for week 8, Brandon.
Yeah, we're going to go with the Cleveland Browns plus 9.5 against the Ravens. We talked about this one a little bit on Tuesday, Brandon, and I kind of warmed up to it, and I'm here. Somehow the number 32 DVOA offense facing the number 1 DVOA offense is my top play of the week. That's just it, though. I don't think this is the number 32 offense anymore, and that really is kind of the point of the cap here. So finally, Brendan, we have been freed of Deshaun Watson. It's Jameis Winston season. Finally, hopefully, some competent quarterback play. That's crazy to me that Jameis Winston is the competent quarterback play answer, but this is where we're at, and I think that he really fits this team. This is a spot I was looking at before the season as I kind of like Jameis coming in here. Remember, Joe Gallant and I both gave out the Browns as a division long shot. That's
I remember
happening because we
want to know why I know?
Long.
Because it's still open in my book, so when I scroll by it with all my futures, I go, geez, good God.
You may want to cash that one out, so you can get like an ice cream bar or something from that investment. So what I like about Jameis, though, last year when Joe Flacco popped in, I think Jameis and Flacco have a bit of a similar style, just like a YOLO, fling it downfield and make some stuff happen. I know Mark Cooper's not there anymore, but it's not just Jameis. That's not the only competence. The other thing that happened this week, quietly, Ken Dorsey is going to call the plays. Ken Dorsey is the offensive coordinator, but I wanted my man calling the plays for the season. It was unclear going into the year. Ended up being Stefanski. It's Dorsey time. That, to me, is a huge upgrade. This is what I wanted before the season was Dorsey and either competent Watson or a quick switch to Jameis. And Nick Chubb is back. Still getting healthy, but he's out there. And the offensive line is getting much healthier. They're getting their guys back much healthier than were the start of the season. So, in my roster matrix, as you know, I've made those adjustments. The offense goes from 26th to 19th. So still not great, but like fine, average. And overall, they go from the 26th team to the 13th best team because the Browns defense has been coming around a little bit. And don't forget how much having not a god-awful offense helps the defense just by not being on the field all game, right? So effectively, the Browns, as they've been, are now the Steelers or the Chargers. That's effectively the profile we're looking at here is like a pretty good defense, maybe not quite Steelers or Chargers level this season, and an okay offense. All right, well, I'm not that excited about the Steelers or the Chargers, but if I was getting 10 points against the Ravens, I'd kind of like that. Like, we've seen that Ravens game play out a bunch of times, and Baltimore's pass defense, I think, is beatable. I think Jameis can throw on these guys, hit some big plays. There's the old just buy low, sell high here. Underdogs scoring 16 or less 3 times in a row since 2019 are 61% against the spread. So that's what's down must come up for the Browns. What goes up must come down. Teams scoring 25 or more, like the Ravens in 5 straight, 42% against the spread. So we're just kind of hoping these ships pass through the night. Lamar as more than a field goal favorite, 42% cover. Jameis as more than a field goal underdog, 66% cover rate. So just playing some trends here, playing the matchup. We talked about this Tuesday. The rivalry has been close. They've split this rivalry 5 of the last 6 years. These teams hate each other. They show up for the matchup. 5 of the last 7 matchups have been within 6 points here. And the Browns, as bad as it feels so far, and as awful as the offense has been, they've lost by 6, 4, 4, 7. Great. We'll cash all 4 of those on this one. We're getting a big line here. They're hanging around. But you know me, I can't just settle for the cover. I think the Browns have a chance to win this thing. Plus 350 on the money line. I think it's worth a sprinkle. Historically, the last couple of decades, AFC North underdogs are the most profitable underdog division. These games tend to be close. And one more, a little future sneak for you here. After the Ravens, here's the next Browns game, 5 in a row. Chargers, Saints, Steelers, Broncos, Steelers again. Well, we just said the Browns are kind of like the Chargers and the Steelers now. Those are winnable games. The Broncos, they're another one like that. Low scoring, ugly, defense, close. The Browns can win those games. Their win total right now is 3.5 for the season. You only got one so far. You only need 3 more to cash. I like the over. You can do an over 4.5 plus 145 if you want. I don't want to go too aggressive here because at some point they're going to want to tank and get a good draft pick for next year. But I think over 3.5, like that's just such a low number. Good spot to buy in on the Browns. So Browns plus 9.5 against the Ravens. That's our top spread of the week.
Okay. Second best bet is a total 2 teams on paper that should just be performing a lot better than we expect. This is a 1:00 game, correct? So I think before the year, I think folks would get up for this game, but you still don't expect the Eagles. The Phillies might actually score more than the Eagles if you just do like runs per game. And then Bengals, you're down on both of these offenses.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles, Bengals under the 48. You're right. This is the 1 p.m. kickoff. It wasn't. This was supposed to be the game of the week in the afternoon. They booted it.
Oh,
they moved it up early. They gave us what was supposed to be Jane Daniels, Caleb Williams. We'll see if we actually get that one now. They didn't know that, obviously. So this one was 49.5 on the look ahead. Sunday, it all feels awful. Drops to 46.5. We're back to 48 here. That's important. 47 is a really important key number for total. So we're past the 47. Definitely get it above that number. Both defenses are sort of improving and finding a few answers. Both offenses certainly are not trending up. They're probably trending down. I think the Bengals are going to pass. That's what they've been doing well. Philly's pass defense has found some answers. They've been a little bit better lately against not great competition, but I think that helps here. The Eagles are going to want to run. They might be able to. I couldn't really make up my mind on a side here. I do think I kind of lean toward Philly's direction because the Bengals' run defense has not been great. But if the Eagles run, I'm good with that. That helps push the clock, keep things moving. We see the Eagles do that and helps the under here. And don't forget, Jordan Mailata, stud left tackle for the Eagles, not out there. Trey Hendrickson lines up from that spot. Maybe we've heard of him. The one Bengals defender that we have to prepare for. So now Jalen Hurts is under pressure all game. That's not gone well at all this season. So passing, I don't see going well for them. That's going to kind of screw up the run game at times as well. And then Nick Sirianni, really strange home road splits on totals. Home games with Sirianni, 71% to the over. Road games with Sirianni, 62% to the under. It's a huge split difference. Eagles are 4-2 to the under this year. Their road games are 11 points a game lower total than their home games so far. Since start of last season with Sirianni, here's some totals for the Eagles games on the road. These are not Eagles totals. These are the whole game. Yep. 27, 31, 34, 37, 37, 37, 41. We're getting lots of these just ugly, why are we watching the Eagles sort of games? Since the bye week, Eagles games 33.5 points. Again, total points, not just them. Bengals last 2 games under 30 points a game after 65 a game the previous 4.
Wow.
Again, a little bit of opponent in there as well. But I just feel like these teams are not what they were billed to be. And I have to bet on the under here. I might touch the under 41.5 around plus 200. Just a bit of an alt there. The Eagles are 43 or below 4 times already. Bengals are below 36 3 times already. So I just feel like, yeah, kind of what you said. We've moved this one up in the day. We're hiding it behind some of the other games because it's just not what it once was because these offenses aren't what they're supposed to be. I don't know it's going to be great football. I don't want it to be great football. I want it to be under. So Eagles, Bengals, under 48.
If one team screws this up, it's probably Cincinnati, right?
I mean, I think honestly, if one team screws this up, it's the defense. Like somebody's defense might just not be improved enough. And maybe that's the Eagles pass defense. Maybe that's the Bengals run defense. Like maybe, I don't even know if I trust one offense can really suddenly figure this out. I do trust that someone's defense might just be even worse than I'm crediting it for. And maybe that's the reason. But, 48 is pretty high for a total. I think that's not really accounting for where these teams have been so far this season.
Okay. Your third pick, we're going to go to Monday night, Steelers Giants.
Yeah, so this is the one we took already last week on the look ahead on this podcast. I like the under. We got it at 37.5. We know 37 is that last key number. Now it's at 36 at books. I still like it, but it's mine shaft season, Brandon. We're hitting the mine shaft here. Under 30.5 plus 215. We'll even take it one level lower. So just quickly reviewing why we like the under here, as if I need to explain to you why we don't want the Giants and Steelers to score points. Giants, 39 or below in 6 of 7 games. Steelers, 37 or below, 4 of their 7. Combined 10-3 to their under. Now look, Russell Wilson, the savior, has fixed the offense. Get a half of a football game. Russell Wilson was getting booed off the field the first half. So let's not necessarily think that they have fixed everything. The usual trends here, primetime under 60%, all the usual low ugly trends. We talked about all that. Specific to the matchup, Giants offensive line, I think, is the worst in the league with Thomas out. That against that Pittsburgh defensive front, that's a disaster. I don't know how the Giants score in this game, period. Dexter Lawrence, who's been great, interior pressure. Steelers offensive line on the interior is banged up. Hey, guess who you don't want having interior pressure? Your short quarterback that takes too long to throw, Russell Wilson, who's the guy back there. I just don't love either team's chances of scoring here. It's a slow pace. Chargers Saints is probably the only game with a faster or a slower pace this weekend. So I mentioned a bunch of the trends. Here's why mine shaft. Totals at 37 or below since November 2019. We've done that one before. 38, 17, and 1 to the under, 69%. Now, we've played this a few times and we've missed it. The last 3 on this trend have missed. But if you go back and look at those games, they're all the ones where I'm getting the DMs afterwards. It's like, man, we got screwed on that one. Like 14 points in garbage time the last 3 minutes. So you can't not play this just because you're getting some garbage touchdowns in there. That's part of the risk, you know? You take a low under, you might catch a garbage touchdown. In those games, there's 55 of them. 31 of the 55, 56% finished 30 or below. Now we're at mineshaft season. Under 30.5 plus 250. And that's over half of them. When the total's this low, don't just go under. They go way under. 24% of them go 23 points or below. Let's hope we don't get that, because this is Monday Night Football, and we both know we're going to say we're not watching it, but we're going to watch it. Please score some points. But if you don't, under 23.5 is plus 600. I have to play a little bit on that as well. I honestly don't know who's scoring or how they're getting the points in this game. This is one of the lowest total looks to me on the season. So I still like the under. I'm still happy about that. We mentioned we might go on the mine shaft. We gave out the numbers now. So let's take the ride down.
Okay. I'll give you the path. It's TJ Watt obliterating Daniel Jones, scoop and score touchdown. Like, so that's
a few times.
a few times. A defensive score could be the path there. God, that's gross, but I love it. Okay, let's do the last one. This involves the Packers heavily against the Jaguars.
It does. So we did the mine shaft down. Now it's time to get some points and some production here. I'm calling this the Packers super escalator. So there's a couple picks here. All right, let me leave with the picks, then I'll make the case, and I'll tell you how we're doing the super escalator. So first pick is Romeo Doubs, over 44.5 receiving yards. We're going with there. And then we're also going to take Jordan Love touchdowns. We did this with Drake May last week. Touchdowns against Jaguars defense. Jordan Love, 3 touchdowns is plus 190. And then Romeo Doubs over that receiving 45.5 plus a touchdown is plus 290. Now, those are not the escalators. Those are 3 standard picks. I'm making all those picks. We'll get to the escalator, but let me explain the picks first. So, weirdly high support on Jacksonville this week. This line keeps dropping all week. It's down to minus 3.5 Packers at some books. I don't really get it. I'll be honest. I thought about just taking the Packers here. We know how I feel about the Jaguars here. They're coming back from 2 weeks in London with no bye week. We've talked about this ad nauseum. Teams that are coming back from London on 1 week even tie or trail in the fourth quarter the following game 13 out of 15 times. I don't know why I want my money on the Jaguars here, considering the history of that. And typically, we know that trend has been take the team total over for the opponent, the Packers in this case, under for the team coming back from London. So the history of post London says Packers probably score here. Jaguars might not score. Now look, the Jaguars won their one game last year coming back from 2 weeks in London. That's not enough data point for me to throw out all that other history there. Packers defense, Jaguars offense, I don't know about that side. So that's why I'm staying away from a side. I'm not really sure anything about that part. I do feel good about the Packers scoring. Top 5 offense. Jaguars are the worst defense DVOA in the league. They're the worst pass defense in the league. They've just been getting carved up by opponents. So, Jaguars play man. We know that. They play the most man in the league. Jalen Reed's been awesome for the Packers. He's their zone beater. So I don't think it's a Jalen Reed game. I think it's Romeo Doubs. He's their better man beater. If you look at the grades on PFF, he's been their guy. He's averaging 52 yards a game, over 44.5 in 4 of the 6. So that's kind of the baseline here. I think somebody's going to put up yards there. It may not be Jalen Reed. I like Doubs. He had 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago. Remember, he kind of had that like weird not with the team thing. Then he came back and scored twice. He had 8 touchdowns last year with Jordan Love. So this is a guy that Love likes to get his touchdowns too. So there's the over 44.5, and then add in the anytime touchdown plus 290. Jordan Love is averaging 3 touchdowns per game just passing. In his 5 games, he's had 2, 2, 3, 4, and 4. Jaguars defense, the last 5 games, allowed the exact same touchdowns. 2, 2, 3, 4, and 4, just by passing. That's a lot of passing touchdowns. Now, I think part of the reason Jacksonville money's coming in this week is Jordan Love is way better against zone. He's number 1 EPA per play against zone. He's been erratic against man. But what he is with erratic is he makes some mistakes, but he also hits big plays, explosive plays. He's top 3 in explosive play rate against man. And again, we need our man beaters. That's why I like Romeo Doubs. So, Love, 3 touchdowns, 3 of the 5 games. We get the 3 touchdowns at plus 190. So I like that bet as well. So, Jordan Love, 3 touchdowns. Romeo Doubs, 45 yards, add the touchdown. That's where we're starting. I'm going to let you respond to that, and then I'll take you up the super escalator.
Well, the defensive look from Jacksonville makes sense as to why you want to avoid Reed. He only had 2 grabs last week too. So, but that's just, they're so talented. The way they spread the ball around. I'm with you too on the line. I don't fully understand this either. The total Packers team totals 26.5 and Jacksonville's 22.5, which lines up with the spread. But I'm into it. Keep going.
Yeah, I looked at the Packers team total over as well. I don't mind that angle if you just want to just kind of fade out from all the craziness here and just do a Packers side. Okay, so Packers escalator, Packers super escalator to the moon. I got 4 levels of escalator here for you. So I'm going to spell it out, give you the price, and then you can just check the app and we'll get all these in there. And obviously, but at the time we get to the end here, it's a 150 to 1. So we're talking like a 1/10 of a unit. We're getting a little crazy here. But, this is like if you give a mouse a cookie sort of thing. And I'm like, well, if Romeo Doubs is getting his 45 yards and a touchdown, then Love's already got a touchdown. How about 2 more? So that's the first level. Romeo, we'll just call it 50 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Love, 3 touchdowns. And if they do those things, the Packers are going to win the game, right? They're going to win the game if he has that big of a game. So that's our first escalator, 10 to 1. 10 to 1 odds. Romeo, 50 yards and a touchdown. Love, 3 touchdowns and a win. The next escalator is very simple. Just 1 more Love touchdown. Same Romeo line, 4 touchdowns for Jordan Love. Remember, he's done that twice already. Still in the win, 22 to 1. So we just added 1 more Jordan Love touchdown. Our odds of Romeo getting 1 is even better. Our odds of winning is even better, 22 to 1. That's the second escalator. All right, well, give a mouse a cookie. If Jordan Love's throwing 4 touchdowns against man coverage, why wouldn't Romeo just catch 2 of them? How about that? All right, Romeo 2 touchdowns, Love 4 touchdowns, and a Packers win, 55 to 1. And then last level, the whole thing, plus 1 more twist, 4 touchdowns from Love and a win, Romeo 50 yards and 2 scores. And if Romeo's catching 2 touchdowns and Love's throwing 4 when the Packers are lighting it up, what if he just got the first touchdown of the game too? How about that? Throw that one in. 150 to 1. It's the tippy top layer of the super escalator. That's the bet. We're taking it to the top. Let's hope we can get just like a crazy super escalator hit here on Romeo Doubs and Jordan Love.
Okay. Surprised another wrinkle wasn't Doubs getting to call it 75 yards or 100 yards because I still can't get out of my. I'm sorry. I still can't get out of my head how Joe Flacco threw deep balls to Alec Pierce on that defense, and it's still bothering me to this day. Because
Yeah,
we
I mean,
talked about that
I
fourth
don't.
quarter having 41 freaking points to
I
ruin the
know.
under. If you had the under,
Yeah, I don't mind the yards. Obviously, I'm getting creative here with adding things in. The thing I like most here is Love throwing touchdowns on the Jaguars. So I think
okay.
that's what I was focused on. Dobbs is really not a player I love necessarily. So 45, 50 yards, I feel pretty good at. Probably he's going to have to catch a long one for a touchdown anyway to hit this bet. I don't know if I want to go too crazy on the yards just because, like you said, Love might spread it around, but it's just a touchdown heavy angle that I'm going for. And the Jaguars have been giving out touchdowns like Halloween candy, so let's hope they keep it up.
Okay, those are the 4 best bets. Let's work our way to what we teased earlier, the ugly running back lightning round. Your first running back that will be featured is Breece Hall going to Foxborough to face the Patriots. What's the play here?
So I actually don't like any of these 3 running backs. I have a hard time betting on them because I don't think they've been very good, but I like the spot. So I'm playing the spot on all 3. Breece Hall playing the Patriots. Just going to take the rushing over for him. That's 75 yards plus a touchdown. 75 rushing yards and a touchdown is plus 197. So Jets are touchdown favorites. They already handled the Patriots, right? That was the one easy win of the Jets season. And New England coming back from London. We just talked about that. They're in a rough spot. They got the rookie quarterback coach combo back from London. It's not a great spot for them. Again, we know the trends there. The Jets should score. The Jets should take care of things. And they're going to care more about this game. Like, they're still trying to save the season. We're out here, like, finally signing Hassan Reddick halfway through the season. Sure, great job, Jets. Your season's super saved. Congratulations. They're going to try here. They want to get the win. They last won in New England before last season, 2006. So they're going to have to do some stuff, get the win. The thing we've talked about with the Jets, we talked about them at length on Tuesday. The run game has been bad, right? The run defense and the run offense both have been a problem. Well, may I suggest to you playing the Patriots, who are the league's worst rushing offense and the bottom 5 rushing defense. I'm sorry to do it to you, Brendan, but I think this is a game where the overcommitment to the run game pays off. Braylon Allen not really playing anymore under Todd Downing the last 2 games. He's only getting 3 touches. It's the Breece show. I don't love the Breece show because take away 2 big carries he's had this year. I tweeted this out. Outside of 2 carries, Breece Hall is averaging under 3 yards a carry. That's not great. This is not a Breece Hall is awesome play. This is a volume play. Attempts, you can bet on that. His rushing attempts line is 18.5 this week. Only Derrick Henry is higher than that. So books are all but telling us he's going to get his touches. We agree. He's going to get his chances. Good luck into the yards. We're going to take the luck. 6 running backs have had 75 rushing yards against the Patriots just in the last 4 games. So I'll help you with the math there. That's more than 1 a game in 2 of those games. 8 running backs have scored a rushing touchdown against the Patriots this season. So that's what we're going for. Breece 75 plus a touchdown, basically plus 200 odds.
Jets ended their losing streak in Foxborough last year. It was an ugly snow game. It was Belichick's last game as head coach at the Patriots. Breece Hall ran the ball 37 times for 178 yards and a touchdown last year in Foxborough to end Bill Belichick's tenure as head coach. Because you got my mind thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. I think Hall was a factor in that ugly snow. There wasn't much going on. It was a 17-3 final. But Breece Hall ran for 178 and a score in that game. So that bodes well. And yes, Gerard Mayo calling the team soft. They have not figured out how to stop the run. See Tank Bigsby 18 straight times in London. 18! This next guy, I don't know who this next guy is, actually. Who is this guy that you're picking against the Saints?
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins. I hear that he's in the mix for comeback player of the year. We talked about this, Brendan, on Tuesday. I think that he is a ridiculous favorite for comeback player of the year. You can listen to the Tuesday episode. But here I am.
There's sarcasm here, but Brendan kind of wasn't kidding.
Betting on J.K. Dobbins the same week that I railed on. Nobody even knows who this guy is. It's honestly very similar to the same case as the third one will be here. A running back I don't like that much for a team that I think is going to win an ugly game and probably run the football a lot. So, playing the Saints defense has bottomed out. Just told you that we had a bottom 5 run defense in the Patriots. The Saints run defense is 31st. They forgot how to tackle. Their games are tough to watch at this point. Now the Chargers, you're going to hear, they're passing more. out of the bye week, the Chargers are passing more. Yeah, that's true. More is relative. They're passing closer to net neutral, but they're still running the ball plenty. There's still Big Ten football out here. Chargers are 6-0 to the under. I looked at the under here, but Saints are 5-2 to the over. Why? Because their defense can't do anything. So we're playing that angle here. No Gus Edwards. So we got volume. J.K. Dobbins, at least 14 carries, 5 straight games. If you look at the Saints, they've had 5 times where they faced a running back have 14 carries or more. Every one of those running backs put up 80 yards and a touchdown. So we're at J.K. Dobbins, same exact play as Breece Hall. 75 yards and a touchdown. It's plus 203. Now, similarly to Breece Hall, 3 long Dobbins runs is like a third of his yards on the season. He's only averaging 3.1 yards a carry the last 4 games. But I like this. Those games came against Arizona, Denver, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. Those are top 10 run defenses. The Saints are not a top 10 run defense. So I'm not convinced the Chargers are good. I do think they take care of the Saints at home. I think similar here, you kind of pick up on this. If you want a teaser, Chargers Jets, I think, is a nice teaser this week. They're both about a touchdown favor. You basically are just taking the money lines, more or less. Just get the ugly win, stay in the AFC race. This is my version of doing that. I think if they get the ugly win, they're just going to kind of be ahead and hand the ball off a bunch of times. And we're going to put this in the bottom section of our NFL recap show on Sunday night and not have much to say. But hopefully we get Dobbins, 75 and a touchdown, plus 203. So again, almost the exact same play. 2-1 odds, 75 and a touchdown.
Okay, this last one, I understand it from a pick perspective, but I don't get it as far as the line, because I thought, like, Javonte Williams ran the ball really well against this Saints team on Thursday night. Now he's got Carolina, and it's a shorter number to get over, plus a touchdown.
Yeah, again, very similar here. The line, though, is only 61.5, like you said. So these other guys, it's at 74.5. I'm not picking these lines. These are their standard rushing yard lines. Yeah. I'm not going crazy on the alts here. There are no escalators here. I don't believe in these running backs. I just believe in volume getting them there. It's, again, a similar case. The Broncos are big favorites at home against the Panthers. We keep fading the Panthers. They've now given up 3 touchdowns or more in the first half, all but that one win. But Denver's up to -10. That's too high for me. This team can't score enough to feel good about that. Denver's been more of a second half team, the 6-1 second half ATS. I'm going to stay away from the first half thing. We'll come back to it, the Panthers. Don't worry. My way is playing here. Obviously, the Denver defense is the standout unit. Welcome back, Bryce Young. Good luck with that. Congratulations on getting another chance here. Carolina's run defense last week, we just played against the number 31 DVOA run defense. Carolina dropped from 21st to 32nd in 1 week, last week. That's how bad the run defense was in the same week that, as you said, Denver ran well. They moved from 27th to 16th in rushing offense. This is a team that wants to run the football. They've invested a lot in the offensive line. They've tried, but not run that well. I think that's why the line is lower. Javonte Williams has not been that good. That when you're talking about 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 scores. That's great against the Saints. Not great a few other games, but if you look, his splits are very stark in a win versus a loss. Well, I think we're getting the win here. 1361, the previous win, 16 for 77, the win before that. All right, we're in range here. We're getting to that yardage total. By the way, you're going to wonder, well, shouldn't you be adding in the money line on these? We're banking on a win. Shouldn't you just add that in? It only adds like a plus 30 or 40 each time. I don't find that worth in case they blow the lead late or something like that. I don't find that enough like juice for the squeeze, but it's basically my way of playing a money line that if this team wins, how do we get there? They probably run the ball. Carolina has allowed 7 running backs already to get 70 yards and a touchdown. The only game they didn't allow a running back to do that is the game they won against the Raiders, who, by the way, can't run the football. So maybe that's the only reason they won that game. Javonte Williams, over 61.5, plus a touchdown. This one's plus 185 out there. Just all 3 guys, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, J.K. Dobbins, whoever he is, take the rushing over plus a touchdown. It's about 2-1 on all 3.
And there are uncertainties with a unit or units on both sides of the ball with some of these teams, which is why I kind of stay away, especially with you mentioned it with Denver with the 10 points. That seems like a lot, even though it's Bryce Young back and with the outfit the Saints are putting out there at quarterback. And to be fair about the Jets, I mean, they got to Aaron Rodgers hasn't played all that great.
No,
So
I mean, it's ugly. These are the Jets, Chargers, and Broncos being like more than a touchdown favorite. This is why we don't have a lot of spreads this week, because it's hard. It's hard to put your money on either any of those teams as big time favorites, but it's pretty hard playing the other side, no matter how many points they're giving you either. So this is my creative way to get around that and play the script at a little bit more of juice.
Okay, let's do the look ahead to Week 9. Your Monday Night Football pick for Week 7 is under Pittsburgh and the Giants, as you referenced earlier. So that's the look ahead from last week. Spend a couple minutes here on what you've got for the Week 9 look ahead spot.
Yeah, for the bajillionth week in a row, I'm picking against the Giants. This is just like what I do now, apparently. Give me the Commanders -2.5 at the Giants. Now, the trick here, obviously, is Jaden Daniels. That's the big question. And is Jaden Daniels being factored into the line here? That's the thing that I wondered looking at this, because I was like, wait a minute, Commanders -2.5? We're getting below the key number? So, our old friend Raheem Palmer, who used to be on this Best Bets podcast with me, I asked him over at The Ringer, what number would you make this if we assume Jaden Daniels is healthy and playing? He gave it Commanders over a touchdown by his model. So I think that this line is assuming maybe split the difference on, do we get Daniels, do we get Mariota? If we get Daniels, there's no way this stays below the key number. So I'm betting on that. And we haven't seen him practice this week, but each day they're saying, this is as of Thursday taping, he's not practicing today, but we'll try. Maybe he'll practice tomorrow. And this typically is like a 1 or a 2 week injury. I would guess he's a no for this week. That's what the line looks like this week. It's moved toward Chicago from -2.5 Washington to -2.5 Chicago. Mm-hmm. We might get that sort of line movement on this pick. That's the angle here. Is I like the pick anyway. I love it if we get Jaden Daniels healthy and ready to go. And I think if he's near practicing every day, then I think we get him for this one. So they played already. Giants probably should have won, but they didn't have a kicker. Remember that one? But they didn't win, and the Commanders still covered, even in that spot, and had a lot of reasons that they could have won by more also. The Giants, since then, are getting worse. They have the worst offensive line in the league. I don't think they can take advantage of Washington's defense, even though it's not great. Offensive line, Washington, buried in my rankings at the start of the year. Their line has been so good. Their line has been one of the most improved surprise units in the league. Sam Cosmi, Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biotish, the interior of that line especially, they went out and just signed a bunch of random dudes, basically. And I did not like it. I thought they were just raising the floor. Somehow, maybe it's the offensive line coach. Somehow it's working. And this unit has been, I think, a top 10 offensive line. And I had them as a bottom 5 coming into the season. I think that's a huge part of why they're playing that well. And I mentioned those 3 names. That's the interior line. Dexter Lawrence, that's the guy we got to protect against. I think they can hold up against Dexter Lawrence and that defensive front. So, Giants, they play this Monday night. We're taking the under. Short week for them. Physical Monday night against the Steelers. You never love to have that on a short week. Hopefully we get Jaden Daniels back. I think this gets past the key number. I guess we're going to keep betting against the Giants. Commanders -2.5.
And who knows what they end up doing with the Giants with their quarterback situation by that point too.
Right. I considered that. I honestly don't even know if that necessarily moves the needle a lot for me. I'm not sure Drew Lock is either an upgrade or a downgrade. I'm not sure it necessarily changes a lot there. I guess I'd prefer to avoid it for this pick just because you never know, like, the little jolt that the new quarterback might give you. But if we're getting under a field goal and I get Jaden Daniels, we have a team that's leading the division right now and playing pretty well. I've expressed some skepticism on this team. I think long-term, it's not a team I'm investing in, but I invest against the Giants every week. We got to do that.
Okay, very good, Brandon. That concludes Week 8 Best Bets here on the Action Network podcast. Don't forget, again, to follow Brandon Anderson in the free award-winning Action Network app to see his picks, not just for this week, but futures, awards, etc., the mid-season look at the awards market. He has a write-up there at Action Network, actionnetwork.com. Be sure to check out the Action Network Discord server to chop it up with our fellow Action Network colleagues, as well as some of your friends. The link to the Discord is in the description of this podcast. Also, Week 8 betting preview from Stuckey and Raybon, the Sunday six-pack, is available to you now. We'll be together again for the recap pod on Sunday night to recap Week 8. For Brandon Anderson, Brendan Glasheen, thanks for tuning in to the Action Network podcast. We'll talk to you next time.